much on the line?
It's been a crazy journey over the last 4 years I've been here. I don't know how to describe it. Just a lot of ups and downs. Just blessed, thankful for the opportunities.
2 years ago against Michigan in Ohio Stadium, you had not a great day. Now, everything on the line, your opportunity to sort of atone for that, to come out and help set the tone for your team. What is the emphasis for you personally going into this weekend?
Just being tough. I feel like the toughest team is going to win the game. It's most prepared team, so just have a good week of practice, go through the week, make sure you prepare, watch film, and just take care of your business.
Does it help that you're going against defensive linemen that you've played against before? It's not anybody who's going to surprise you with anything they do?
Yeah, I mean, it helps a little bit with the same defensive linemen, but they've gotten better since last year, so still got to prepare.
Isaiah, I guess first of all, Josh Alabi having to come in and play left tackle last week, just as you guys reviewed the game and everything, it sounded like Coach Meyer was pretty happy with how he got in there and did his job. Is that kind of your take as well after studying it? How did he do kind of under the gun in that situation?
I think Josh did a great job when he came into the game. He was prepared all week, all season. He's been practicing hard and just being prepared for the moment. Just competitive excellence. When your number is called, be ready. He was ready.
Mm-hmm. Offensive line, kind of people have been up and down on it this year, but you guys had 633 yards, and maybe other than a handful of penalties, it was a pretty clean game for the offensive line. Is that how you guys kind of came out of that one, that you're starting to put some pieces together, I guess, or what do you think?
Yeah, we're starting to get going a little bit. Just executing a lot better, I should say. That's all.
You think Thayer's going to be out there Saturday?
I'm not sure. I haven't talked to the coaches or talked to anybody about that.
You're not supposed to talk about injuries. So you have 3 seniors on the line. Michael's been a 3-year starter as a junior. Thayer's been the young guy in that room as a starter. How has he sort of handled it, do you think, this year as a first-year starter?
I think he's handled it pretty well. He definitely handled it better than when I was a first-year starter. He does a good job of just following the leaders. I think me, Mike, Malcolm, and Demetrius Knox just do a good job of just setting a good example for Thayer and just showing him how things should be done.
When you're younger, you were kind of like that. You were a young starter on a line with older guys. How's he been this year? Like in the room, does he sort of yield to you guys that he maybe is quieter about things, or how much is he trying to speak up and say things too?
I mean, for the most part, he just observes, just watches, just follow us, and just times he'll just ask questions like, how do we know certain things, stuff like that, how to improve.
Is that the smart thing for having been through it yourself when you were a young guy, kind of absorb the information from the veterans?
That's the best thing you do, just keep your mouth quiet and just watch the veterans.
What do you remember from how Dwayne handled that whole situation last year, up at the big house, coming in and
I think Dwayne handled that situation pretty good. Like I said, when your number's called, be ready, and he was ready for that moment. He had also practiced hard that whole week of practice last year.
What did it say about him, maybe his mental makeup, that he was able to come in when the game was up for grabs and he helped lead you guys to victory?
He just shows he's tough. He's a tough kid who pays attention, he works hard, and who's just prepared.
What was your relationship like with Coach Warner your first year here?
I only spent 1 year with Coach Warner, so I didn't really get to know him that well.
He's at Michigan now.
Yeah, I know.
What do you think of that an Ohio State coach being at Michigan now? Kind of weird or just part of the business?
I mean, yeah, that's kind of weird, but I mean, I understand it's part of the business.
You have like a picture of him in a Michigan gear or anything on the wall to motivate you guys?
No.
Is there anything that Michigan does that you remember that just really irks you? Just the way they do things, or something that they do?
I mean, everything. Michigan, I just don't like the way.
I mean, what comes to mind when you say everything?
Like, they're just cocky, but I mean, they're a good team.
Isaiah, when you look at J.K. Dobbins' performance last week, how important was that to kind of elevate kind of the running game for you guys against Maryland? Is that something that can be replicated next week?
Yeah, it was important for us to establish a run game. Running the ball is important. You can't throw the ball if you don't run the ball. So
Do you feel like that's something? I mean, is that kind of the ideal offense for you guys moving forward, especially facing one of the best, or the best defense in the country on Saturday?
I mean, whatever coach decide to call is the best call. I mean, they've done a good job of play calling all year, so whatever they decide to do is fine with me.
You've studied Michigan's defense, obviously, they're number one in the country.
Right.
What stands out to you the most about what they've been able to do this year?
They play hard. They all fly to the ball. Whenever somebody's making a tackle, there's at least 8 Michigan jerseys over there making it on the tackle. So they play hard on defense.
They've got some really good edge rushers.
Yeah, they do.
How pumped are you? What are your thoughts about that challenge for you?
I mean, just get prepared to watch film, study the film, practice hard, have a great week of practice, and just play as hard as I can. It's two good players going against each other. I mean, I'm pretty sure it'll be a good matchup.
Do you see a difference between a back that is getting, say, 30 carries a game, or when they're splitting carries like Mike and JK? Do you see a difference in terms of kind of maybe the energy or of that particular back, or is it kind of just the same old when JK gets all the carries and Mike's not in there? Or is there a difference in the energy of the offense at that point when a running back gets continuous carries like that?
I mean, to me, there's no difference whether they're splitting carries or one of them again the majority of the carries. It still feels the same when we run the ball. I feel like there's no difference.
Still the same expectation?
Yeah, still the same.
Do you see their swag, like, kind of step up a little bit, like JK on Saturday?
I mean, yeah, I like his swag on Saturday. JK is tough. He's a hard runner. I liked what he brought to the game.
Isaiah, what did you think of the way that Dwayne ran the ball against Maryland?
It just shows you how tough our offense is, that you got a quarterback willing to run the ball and make plays. And when people don't expect him to, that says a lot about our quarterback, how tough he is.
I think a lot of people on the outside were wondering if he would ever have a game like that. Were you guys urging him on at all to pull it and run it a little more?
No, not really. I mean, that's just something that was in the game plan. We knew Dwayne is capable of it, and decided to do it.
Did you see him take a step on Saturday as a leader? I mean, I know he's been the quarterback for you guys all year, but did you see a change in him persona-wise, you know, hey, let's get going, let's move things forward, or was he his normal self? Because on the rewatch of the game, it looked like he was a little more vocal than normal.
In my opinion, Dwayne is always vocal. He's always done a good job leading all year. TCU, Penn State, a lot of the big games that we've played this year, he's always been a good leader. He's always been vocal. So to me, it was nothing new.
The way you guys have played the last few weeks, do you feel like the offense is peaking right now?
I don't think we're peaking. I think there's a lot of things that we can get better at. We had turnovers the last 2 weeks. There's a lot of things we can get better at on offense. So I don't think we're peaking.
How important is it to play your best game on Saturday? I mean, as a team.
I mean, it's very important. I think everybody should have the mindset of just doing your job, just focus on doing your job, and I think we'll be okay.
I say, how much do you, just as a personally, get fired up when you know you're going against a defensive front that most people think is pretty good? You know, obviously they're number one in the country in total defense, et cetera. They've got Rashawn Gary over there, who's considered an all-star, possible high first-round pick, all this kind of stuff. How much does that, I don't know, get your juices going from your vantage point?
Yeah, it gives me a lot of energy. I like competition. I love to compete, so I'm looking forward to that. So it definitely gives me a lot of energy.
And what does Gary? I mean, you've watched him on video a bunch. What makes him special? Why the big talk about him?
His effort. He gives the maximum effort every play. I don't think I've ever seen him be lazy on a play. Like, he gives a lot of effort.
Yeah.
Isaiah, what's it like for you knowing that this is your last home game at Ohio Stadium? Has that brought back a lot of memories this week?
Yeah, it's bittersweet. It's tough. I never thought I never really thought about my last home game at Ohio State. It still hasn't hit me yet. I just try my best not to think about it.
Did you guys feel yourself getting stronger at the end of the game? You guys ran almost 100 plays on Saturday. Is that kind of the ideal offense you guys would like to run?
Yeah, the tempo. We love the tempo of defenses. Towards the end of the game, the defenses usually get tired because of the tempo. So that's something we want to continue doing in our offense.
How do you do that against a better defensive line in Michigan, a team that probably would prefer to play a slower tempo kind of game?
Whatever coach decided to do is fine with me. I think they'll make the best decision.
Coach Meyer said, one of the things he had to watch this week in practice was you guys played
he actually had 105 snaps last week, minus the penalties, like 98 official plays or something. But how much does that take out of an offense when you got to play all day like that, Isaiah, as you look back on it?
It definitely does take a lot of your body playing that many snaps. It's not normal for an offense to play that many snaps in the game. So, especially being an offensive lineman, you play all 90 or 105 snaps. So, I mean, it definitely takes a toll on your body. But the coaches do a good job of taking care of us during the week and make sure we're prepared for the next game.
What's been your favorite moment of your time at Ohio State? Your favorite moment in Ohio Stadium? What's been the one memory that you'll take out of here?
It would have to be 2016. Even though I didn't have a good game, when we beat Michigan in double overtime, that was definitely one of my most favorite moments. First time being a part of something like that, where people stormed the score, like it was a big win. Like I think it was like number 2 versus number 3. Like just being a part of that game, I didn't really realize how big it was back then because I was so young. I was like 19. I was a sophomore, so that was definitely one of my favorite moments in Ohio Stadium.
Do you remember going to the line on that fourth? You remember going to the line on that 4th and 1 play, and do you remember thoughts of everything being on the line? I mean, so to speak.
To be honest, when Kurt scored, I didn't even know the game was over. I was so shocked. I was like, "Wow, we just scored. We just won." Like I was in disbelief. They paused it on the film. Like I just stopped and stood there. Like we just won.
Yeah. What about the 4th and 1 play though, where JT barely made it? Yeah. Controversial play, so to speak. What were you thinking on that one?
It was a first down.
Yeah.
Isaiah, what does this team's best game look like? And if you got obviously, what do you think?
Just dominating all 3 phases of the game: offense, special teams, and defense. I mean, that's what the perfect game looks like for me.
And do you feel like you guys are close? Do you feel like that's possible this Saturday?
Yeah, that's possible this Saturday.
I say, I was telling somebody, I was saying this a while ago, y'all scored 52 points on Saturday. Y'all had some tremendous drives, clutch drives continually in that 3rd and 4th quarter. And if it had been 52-20, we'd probably all be talking about how y'all's offense, Right. But yet it was a close game. But what is your sense coming out of that game of this offense maybe, I don't know, being in a groove, clicking, whatever you want to call it?
Yeah, I think the offense has gotten more of a rhythm these last few games, but definitely still a lot to work on. Like I said, we still had 3 turnovers, so can't turn the ball over this Saturday. So we got a lot to work on still.
Isaiah, is it extra special knowing that you get to play your final home game in a Michigan game?
Yeah, that makes it more interesting. Like, this is the game I'm going to remember for the rest of my life.
Thanks, Isaiah.
Thanks, Isaiah. Appreciate it, man.
Thanks, man.